What is going on, you guys? MissedThePart here, back again with another video. So today's video we are going to be talking about how Spider-Man killed the Sinister Six as a zombie. So in this alternate reality we enter where actually it was the Watcher that was talking about all the horrors that he's seen and all the wonders that he's seen in the multiverse. And eventually he explains how the zombie plague came about and infected Sentry, and Sentry actually infected the Avengers, which actually became like a 24-hour event where they actually ended up killing everybody in the world in 24 hours, eating everything. So then eventually Galactus showed up and they ate Galactus. They devoured him, and what happened is later on, after like a couple years later, probably I think it was decades later actually, that people actually decided to fight the zombies. The zombies came back to Earth and there was a whole fight, and then actually they teleported half of them to alternate realities because they wanted to get rid of them. And then the Watcher just still explains that he's trying to find other different worlds, different realities, and he finally at last found Spider-Man's reality. Now this is Zombie Spider-Man, and Zombie Spider-Man makes it to Earth Z. Now Earth Z is a alternate reality. It looks just like the 616 one until Spider-Man shows up, and you know, Spider-Man's talking about how he wants to save his friends, he wants to find a cure, and you know, he wants to stop all of this evil because, you know, he needs to do this. And eventually he would realize that he didn't have any organic webbing or any web shooters, so he uses his veins to pretty much like swing around the city, and it's really crazy. And you know, he just doesn't know like what's going on. He doesn't know like why he's there, how he got there, but eventually it was because he teleported there. So you know, he talks about how it was extremely painful to use that, and he sees a Daily Bugle newspaper and he doesn't even believe it. Like he traveled back in time, and you know, he has to stop all of this stuff, and now he's like remembering that he killed like Aunt May and ate Mary Jane, and you know, he wants to stop the zombie plague forever. So you know, you see him swinging around in the city of New York in Earth Z, and eventually what would happen is one of Kingpin's thugs would actually see this zombie Spider-Man but wouldn't recognize him. You know, you just think that he's just Spider-Man, but it wasn't, and it was this alternate Spider-Man. But he said to Kingpin that Spider-Man was there swinging towards the Empire State Campus, and you know, Kingpin just gets really mad and talks about you know, that he needs to stop him, and that, you know, he wants Spider-Man dead and all this stuff. So eventually, you know, you go back and it cuts to Peter Parker with his friends, with Gwen, with Mary Jane, with everybody, and you know, there's like protests happening, you know, all this stuff's happening, and then you see is Zombie Spider-Man. You know, he's trying to like focus on what's happening, but he loses focus and actually goes to Mary Jane, and he's like, I remember like I ate you and all this stuff. It was really weird, and he's talking about how he like wants to eat Mary Jane again. You know, it's a zombie senses tingling, you know. And then all of a sudden there's like a big kind of like a big like boom or whatever that happens, and the Sinister Six actually show up, and you know, Zombie Spider-Man's trying to fight himself. He's conflicted because, you know, what's happening here is that he wants to save his friends and everything back in time in this alternate reality, but you know, he has to defeat the Sinister Six. So what happens is we have our original Spider-Man in this alternate reality, and there's Z, and he's like, you know, like I gotta stop the Sinister Six, but he doesn't know that there's another Spider-Man there. So what happens is like Doc Ock and the Sinister Six take Mary Jane, and you know, Zombie Spider-Man doesn't like this, so he eats Kraven's neck. You know, he rips his neck right off, and this is where we get to the part where Spider-Man kills the Sinister Six. Spider-Man eats the Sinister Six. Now, you know, he goes after different villains. He goes after Mysterio, and he eventually would actually go after Electro and Doc Ock, killing all of them. You know, he's really smart because, you know, he's fought them many times before. You know, he traveled back in time into some alternate dimension, so he knows how to stop them. So all you see is Spider-Man's just eating Doc Ock, and you know, he rips the Vulture's hands right off and slices Electro's face right off clean, you know. And Sandman's looking at him like, holy crap, like this guy's nuts. Like, he's like, why are you breaking the rules, you know? And like Zombie Spider-Man, since he ate so many people and went like pretty much insane, he's like, the only rule is like hunger and stuff and flesh without end. And like Sandman's like, nah, I'm not getting paid enough for this, I'm out. And like he leaves, And what actually happens is like Kingpin sees the zombie Spider-Man. He still thinks that he's the original Spider-Man, but he's not. And they just go at it and chomp chomp. You know, Spider-Man eats Kingpin, and then the alternate from Earth Z, this Spider-Man, you know, he shows up, and eventually what happens is he gets stopped by Sandman and gets murdered, brutally murdered. You know, Sandman literally goes in Spider-Man, completely destroying his whole stomach, and just eventually kills him. And then Spider-Man turns his head back and sees that he just killed the Sinister Six, but the Sinister Six turned into zombies. So the Sinister Six in this comic book turn into zombies, and what actually happens is they all get killed. So Spider-Man just eventually kills them all, and you know, he was like, those were my friends, I was going to save them. And he gets really mad, and you know, he talks about like what a joke of a hero I am. He takes MJ's face, he looks at it, and then he just starts ripping his whole face off after he killed the Sinister Six. He just sliced them all up, and eventually he would be Spider-Man no more, and you know, he wouldn't be zombie Spider-Man. And then we actually cut to the Watcher, and the Watcher's talking about how, like, you know, I've seen enough. And eventually what happens is Hank Pym from another world, zombie, goes and eats the Watcher. So the Watcher dies, and that actually is what happened. So that's what happened with Spider-Man killing the Sinister Six. It's a really dark and gruesome story because, you know, it just goes in depth with like how Spider-Man literally just went mentally insane as a zombie. He wanted to save his friends and he didn't, and he just killed everybody in sight. And you know, this actually, I like this book a lot because I think the one thing that I really like about it every time I reread it is it's probably one of the true Spider-Mans, because like he couldn't save any of his friends. You know, this is a Spider-Man that lost everything, and you know, we don't usually see that, and when we do, we just see them go evil like Spider Carnage. But in this one, he's still good, but like he knows that he failed, so like he was really sad. And you know, eventually he would return in other comic books, but in this one it's just really interesting to see how zombie Spider-Man just murdered the Sinister Six and killed them all. He ate them all. And you know, he was trying to fight himself, but he couldn't, and you know, the hunger just got to him, and that's what happened. So anyways, what's your thoughts on Marvel Zombies Returns? What do you think about Spider-Man killing the Sinister Six? Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and if you guys want me to do more comic book videos like this, make sure you let me know, because I will in the comments if you guys let me know. But anyways, as always, this was my Halloween special. You know, I wanted to get a bit dark and gruesome, so I thought, you know, why not do this kind of thing for Halloween and show off the Sinister Six getting killed completely. But anyways, as always, peace out.